Hello, welcome back to the React programming series from ground up. In the last video, we had seen Redux, how exactly it works, what are the various concepts within Redux, and we had seen an implementation of Redux with HTML. In that implementation, we had included the redux.js file, the JavaScript file into HTML, and had seen the various concepts. Now, in this video, we are going to use Redux with React. So we would be having a React project and we would incorporate Redux and we would see how easy it is to do state management with Redux in a React project. With that introduction, let's get started. So this picture indicates the Redux flow. We have a component which triggers the action, and this action is used by the reducer, and reducer is the one which modifies the redux store based on the action which is taken. So this redux store is modified, and then we could have a subscription. A component can subscribe to the changes in this redux store and can update based on the changes in the redux store. So basic philosophy remains the same. Let's see how it is incorporated in a react project. So in when incorporating this philosophy with the React, we have something called as a slice, and slice is a state. It's part of a state. So a state can be defined by multiple slices, and comprehensively, if we include all the slices, that is the application state. And a slice can have action, it defines reducers, and it defines a state. We will see this in detail later. No need to worry about what slice is right now. Just understand that the slice defines the state of the application, and multiple slices together holistically define the whole application state. So the philosophy is the same. There is a React component. You do a dispatch action dispatch. Reducer comes in picture, and reducer modifies the store. Okay, it modifies a slice in the store, which means it modifies the application's state in the store. Then you would be having some subscription, and the subscription could be from a selector, a use selector, and that update, whatever data has been updated, whatever state has been updated, is sent to the component, and the React component would react accordingly. It will update the DOM as per the state changes. So this is the flow. So you start from here, 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 and update the state, and then you subscribe and read and update the component. This could be same component, that could be a different component. A component which dispatches the action can be same as the one which is listening, and multiple different components can be listening to the same state changes, which we shall see in the demo. So for the demo setup, what we are going to do is we are going to use the initial code from chapter 6, and we will rename it. We will rename it as Redux demo. We need to have some new libraries included. The first one is the Redux library, and the second one is the Redux toolkit. So let me get started with these things. So I am in the GitHub, and there are instructions meant to download a specific chapter. Let's see how we can do it. So I'll just duplicate this tab, and then let's see what are the instructions which are written. So first thing is go to the specific chapter and down and copy the path of that folder. So I intend to copy this path because I intend to use chapter 6. So I'll copy this, and then you need to go to this URL. So you can go here, you can type this, you can press enter, and that specific chapter shall be downloaded in your machine. So it's already downloaded. Now what I'll do is I'll rename that folder, and then from there we will start. So now I have downloaded the project. I have renamed it also, and I have this thing which is there. So first thing which I want to do is I want to install the packages which are required. So I will say npm install, and it will create a node modules, and it will install all the prerequisite node modules in that specific folder. Now I will install the React and the Redux. Finally, I'll install the Redux toolkit. So everything is installed now. If I do ls, I'll see the node modules and the appropriate modules are installed. Now let me open this project in the Visual Studio Code. So we are complete with all these steps here. Let's see now what we have to do. First thing which we have to do is we need to create a slice, and the slice will define the Redux store's state, actions, and reducers. Then we need to create a store, and a store is linked to the reducer as reducer updates the store. We shall see that also. We need to, third thing which we need to do is we need to use a provider, and this provider is meant to make the store accessible to all the components within the application. We'll see how it is to be done. And then to use the state, we use selector so that whatever state is getting updated, the component is notified of the change. And to dispatch the changes in the store, the action dispatch, we use the use dispatch hook. So these two hooks we shall use to either leverage the change state or to change the state itself. What is a slice? So slice is application state. Multiple slices together may make the application state. It could be one or multiple slices. And slice is used to define Redux stores, state, actions, and reducers. So what we are doing here is we have these two actions which are being defined, and the reducer, what they do when these actions are being called. For this particular thing, it increases the state to state plus 1 in case of increment, or state minus 1 in case of decrement. So reducers and the actions and the state, these three things have been defined with the help of uh, the slice. And then what we are doing by default, we are uh, exporting the reducer, and we are exporting the actions as well here. Okay, these are the two actions which we are exporting. Now for creating the store, you can use configure store to create a Redux store by passing an object that includes the reducers which you have defined. So which reducer we defined? We defined only one reducer. So that is what we will pass, and this will create the Redux store. For using the store, like I was saying, that there is a provider which you have to create, and this provider is basically wrapping your app component. So the whole app would be having access to the store. So you wrap your code or your app component with the provider, so that app component and subsequent components, everything will have access to the store. Finally, you would have you want to access the state, so you can have use selector, so that whenever state is getting updated, you will be notified that the state has been changed. In this specific case, the counter would be updated, and thereby this tag would be updated whenever there is a change in the state. For dispatching, dispatch means sending an action to the reducer and finally to the state store. So for dispatch, we use the use dispatch hook, and this is what is happening. On click, there are two buttons which I have placed. One button is called increment, another one is called decrement, and this action is the increment action which is being sent, dispatched when I press this button, and here decrement action is dispatched when I press the decrement button. Let's incorporate it in the Visual Studio and see it in action. So I am in the code right now. I'll go to the source, and let me do one thing. I'll create a component. I'll create a folder called features. So let me click here, and I create my slice, and I say counter slice, and then whatever code we had for the slice, I'll paste it here. Now let's create the store. So I'll create another JavaScript called store.js, and let me place the code which we had seen earlier. So I have done the store also. So now I have to update the provider here. So for updating the provider, let me have the provider and let me have the store also. Okay, then I have to give the provider tag. Let me quickly do that. And I need to close the provider, but I need to close it here. And let me format the code. Now for the component, let me create a new component. I'll call this component as the counter component. Now this counter component should be displayed somewhere. Where should it be displayed? Let's modify the navigation to see where it should be displayed. So we have the different navigations which were there. I'll add one more navigation, line item li for the counter. The last thing which we have to do is we have to define the route also. So let me do that. I'm making it a little small so it is visible. So I'll define the route here. So this is done. So now I do a npm start. So I can see this. Now if I increment, the counter gets incremented. If I decrement, it gets decremented. Now let's say I have to use this counter in some other component as well. Let me say I want to use it in this blog page. So what I can do is I can simply use the use selector hook. Okay, and I can use it here. So let's see how. So I'll go to the blog. In the blog, I will import the use selector. I don't need to dispatch. I don't intend to dispatch. So I would not be using a dispatch. And then I need to use the use selector to get the state. And let's say I want to show the state here. And let me quickly go to command palette and format document. I save this now. So see, blog page has the state updated. It's -3. If I update the state here, let's say I increment and I make it 6, 7, and I go here, blog, it should be 7. So this is 7 here. So we are able to see that the state is being updated and different components are able to see the updated state. Thank you very much.